Hi, welcome to Life in 5, pro-life news that matters. I'm Hayley. What is the value of a human life? According to so-called healthcare providers, it's only worth $13,000. Wendy Duffy, a 56-year-old woman from the UK, is now dead after travelling to Switzerland. A heartbroken Wendy attempted to take her own life after her son died choking in a freak accident in which she was unable to resuscitate him. Her suicide attempt left her on a ventilator in hospital for 2 weeks. This woman, who was clearly still suffering from PTSD, grieving and living in guilt, was in need of support, care and love. Instead, she was approved and proceeded with assisted dying in Switzerland. She described it as a neater option, saying, "I could step off a motorway bridge or a tower block, but that would leave anyone who found me dealing with it for the rest of their lives." Just as her son's death had consequences, so does this. Whether we label it as healthcare and wrap it up in clinical language, this woman, who was physically well, did not have an incurable disease, paid $13,000 for her own death. So what did her application actually involve? And what did she need to do to qualify for this beyond a payment? I can tell you it was very little. You only need to be sound of mind, but then again, who is determining that? It wasn't the UK, it was an organisation who advocates for choosing when you die, who does not care about your health or your grief, but pretends that choosing death is in your best interest while they profit. Without dismissing her grief or pain, we have to ask, could not the money she paid to end her life have been better used to help her? Even a year of therapy would have cost a lot less than this. Once again, we are being lied to. A woman drowning in her own pain and guilt will never see the sun again. James Valentine was one of Australia's most beloved broadcasters. For 25 years, his warm and witty presence filled afternoons on ABC Radio Sydney. In 2024, he was diagnosed with throat cancer. He retired from broadcasting in February of this year to focus on his health. 2 months later, he chose voluntary assisted dying to end his life at just 64. Anthony Albanese called him one of our national treasures. Colleagues remembered him as a joyous, sharp, and daily source of uplift for Sydney. As the public grief settles in, something important is being overlooked: the quiet, complicated burden left behind for those who loved him most. Grief after assisted dying is not simply grief. It carries a unique psychological weight, and our cultural celebration of assisted suicide rarely makes room for that. A huge concern is when a beloved figure chooses assisted dying and the nation applauds it. That shapes how the rest of us think about dying. It sets a standard, an unspoken but powerful one. For some, that is liberating, but for others, the elderly, the isolated, those who feel like a burden to their family, it can feel like an expectation, a quiet pressure to choose death rather than to ask for more time, more care, and more support. That is not a small thing. That is a shift in what our society silently accepts as the right way to die. It is a tragedy that James Valentine, a remarkable Australian, is now gone. He was funny, humane, and generous with his gifts for over 3 decades. But the greatest tribute we can pay a man who spent his life making space for honest conversations is to keep having one. Australia's assisted dying laws deserve the same careful, compassionate scrutiny that he would have brought to any topic that mattered as well. Last year, the US Congress delivered its most significant pro-life victory ever, ending federal funding to big abortion providers for a full year. That win expires on July 4th, America's 250th birthday. Unless Congress acts before then, the money will flow back. For decades, Planned Parenthood and similar organisations have been funded by taxpayers. Their own annual report confirmed they received $832 million in federal funds last year alone. Money that went towards abortion, gender transition procedures for minors, and anti-family political campaigns. Congress froze those Medicare reimbursements that only needed a simple majority to pass. To extend it, lawmakers needed to pass a second reconciliation bill before July 4th. The confusion surrounding this new bill is drowning out the priority of the pro-life agenda. Meanwhile, as the deadline draws closer, important values are being traded away in the chaos. This is not just a coincidence, it is a tactic, one that is playing out in Australia too. Laws expanding abortion access and euthanasia keep passing here, and most people don't hear about it until it's done. The bills move quietly through Parliament. By the time the community wakes up, the vote is over. This is not an accident. Apathy is a strategy others rely on. Here's what cuts through regardless of where you stand politically. People are disengaged. We are bombarded with content, outrage, and noise. The result is that important decisions get made without us. Laws that shape families, communities, and the next generations pass while most Australians are sitting there scrolling. The overload is not neutral. It benefits whoever wants change made quietly, and it leaves everyone else feeling powerless even when they are not. Make sure you are active in the pro-life space by attending rallies. We have John Ruddick's sex-selective bill being presented in June. Make sure you are outside of Parliament on June 2nd at 5 p.m. Contact your local MP. Even a short email counts more than you realise. The most powerful thing a community can do is be actively engaged.